Hey, thanks for checking out my first speed drawing on YouTube. I'm Joseph Kite, and this is my 6th page in a webcomic called Thimbles and Thumbs. When I'm recording my stuff, I like to divide those recordings into stages as I draw, and they're really the preparation, inking, and coloring stages of the artwork that I'm doing. Right now, you've got the first video where I am taking some storyboard ideas that I developed on a application which I've use on the iPad Pro and the Apple Pencil. It's called Procreate, and it's an amazing application for drawing and painting, and it allows you to really quickly get your ideas down and continue just going from one idea to another. A lot of my ideas are really bad, and I'm not saying a lot of the pages that I've developed are very strong, but you should really see the amount of ideas that I've come up with, and I've scrapped. I think for every 100 ideas I might get one, and like I said, even those pages aren't always very strong. So Procreate allows me to just continue to draw and easily erase and continue just to come up with the story idea of what I want to do for this webcomic. There's another application out there called, I believe, Comic Draw. And that's an application that some people have been doing reviews on, and I have looked at it, and I think I may move from Procreate to that because it'll allow me to add in a script which might be a lot easier to follow, and move that over to the other programs that I'm using. I do find that working in digital is, for me, the best way. It's by far, in some ways, cheaper because you're not having to deal with pencils and papers and printing out as some people do, because then you're dealing with the inks as well from the printer. This is the 6th page, and the really neat part about this page and the webcomic Thimbles and Thumbs, I'm introducing Thumbs the dragon. And the idea of how I would introduce him was, yes, I was watching Gotham and it was right there. Anyway, I was introducing Thumbs the dragon, and I really like Calvin and Hobbes, and I based Thumbs in a lot of ways, the style, I guess, or the attitude of Hobbes, where he is this type of character that likes to sneak up and put fear into people, and just really enjoys that wildness that you get from Hobbes's or Bill Watterson's character Hobbes, and I love that. There's a sense of excitement and imagination and tension, and it's really cool to read his books. And I actually was going through some of his work before doing this, and I really wanted to pay my respects and my homage to it in a very small manner. I know it's not as good or anything, but it's the best I can do for right now. I will get better, I'm pretty sure of that. So I haven't really talked about my process here, or the way that I've divided up the videos. I've divided up the videos, as I mentioned, into a prep stage where I take the storyboard ideas and I start penciling them out. And the next 2 videos would be inking and then coloring, which is that makes sense. Right here though, what I do, I spend a lot of time, first I spend a lot of time in the prep stages, but the prep stage is kind of divided up into sub stages, and that is where I take the storyboard that I've already mentioned, and then I really rough draft a sketch of how I want the story to look on the larger piece of paper. And that is the stage that I usually call the blue sketches, where I'm just getting down shapes on the page to get an idea of where they should be, and an idea of the weight of the story and the composition of the page, and how the words and everything is going to kind of visually look and feel. I may also be getting a better idea of how the words are going to be displayed on the web page, on the page itself. And then after that blue line, where I don't want to spend a lot of time on, I will then I will then go ahead and create a new layer. On top of that layer, I will bring down the opacity of my blue sketches, and on the top, on this next layer, I will sketch out and spend a lot more time on the actual shapes and what you're going to see, because what I spend time here, what I do here, you should actually start seeing in the final draft with the inks. So it allows me to sketch out the type of line that I want to be displayed in ink. You see, I'll go over the same line several times to see how it will look, and I'll do a lot of erasing here just because I want to get my shapes correct and the lines correct. And as you see here, everything's in green, and this layer I usually call my tight greens. So as you see in the blue layer, or the blue sketch layer, I created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 panels, and you've got Thimbles, or Tom, looking through the door, or looking around the door, peeking both ways. And then the next panel, you've got him in the living room or the entryway of the apartment. And then he's going from room to room looking for somebody. You don't know who, you just know that he's looking for somebody. Seems like the house or the apartment is quiet, and so he thinks he gets the opportunity to rest and read his comic books that he got before leaving work that morning. I'm really enjoying Tom's character construction here, where you don't really get to see his mouth, so everything is kind of portrayed with the eyes, and then sometimes the lines in his face mask move around in relation to how he's feeling or what he's saying. It allows me to play with it, being the artist and the cartoonist, because you know this is not what real face masks would do. And there he is. This is really rough, as you see in the blue layer area, and now I've got to kind of figure out how I want those shapes to look and the poses to look. He's got it scared and frightened, and so that's what I'm doing right now. Going back to the character development of Tom, he's really based on those mannequins that you see for artists, those wooden mannequins that you can move around. That was the original idea, because I wanted a character that I could work on poses and work on expressions and get a story idea out on a page without spending a lot of time with mouths and stuff like that. And that's where Tom kind of came about. He's my kind of my first character that I just started to draw over and over to get those, as I said, poses out. And the fun thing about right here, where I'm drawing Thumbs, the dragon, I'm actually looking up some examples of Hobbs as he's in a attack pose, flying over Calvin. And Calvin and Hobbs, they had a really neat character completion between the two, kind of a design. They were designed for each other. They had to been, with Hobbs being so much taller and lankier, and Calvin being so much shorter. A lot of people who talk about developing characters or groups of characters mention that it's very important to provide that balance. If you've got multiple characters but they all look the same, but their hair is maybe just a different shape, you might be able to recognize them, but they don't really have a lot of, but they don't have a very distinct separate personality that you can relate to. So I think that can be a very unfortunate design flaw. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let you watch this, and I'll turn up the music. See you at the end. Well, that's about it. Thank you very much for checking out the first YouTube video that I've attempted to provide some commentary to. I'm not sure if a lot of people would be interested in my thoughts and views on the drawings that I'm doing or the webcomic pages. I have written down kind of a bullet list of things that I wanted to cover during this video, and I went through those pretty quick when it came to a 30-minute drawing. So I will probably work on the scripts and bullet lists and ideas a lot better before I continue adding commentaries to videos. I will, however, continue to keep posting videos as I'm drawing out the web pages for Thimbles and Thumbs, because it's actually a lot of fun. And then I will, of course, be adding some music to them. If you're ever interested, you can find that the music that I'm getting to download and attach to my videos, they are provided by YouTube channel, or by YouTube itself. They have a royalty-free YouTube list of music that people can use. So that's pretty cool. And the only thing is you have to really spend quite a bit of time to find what you're into and what you think most people would like. I would love to make my own music, but that's more time away from the webcomic and developing my drawing and illustration skills, so I probably will not be doing that. I do have someone that I've asked to make some music, and we'll see if she gets around to it. She does some really amazing piano work. Okay, thank you again for coming and checking out my YouTube videos. I hope to see you again next week, and we will be posting probably 2 to 3 videos a week of the progress on Thimbles and Thumbs. Oh, by the way, you can check out Thimbles and Thumbs on my website, josephkite.com.